top 5 signs that someone is in mind control. Number 1 is you open this video with the idea that you are impervious to mind control yourself, and you're watching this to look at the poor saps and dupes who are. That is denial, because all humans are susceptible to mind control. All of us are susceptible to emotional manipulation, and so the biggest sign you're under mind control is having that level of ego and certainty that you can't be duped and that you are too smart to be manipulated, controlled, etc. The second sign you're under mind control is that when you repeat regurgitated slogans, but you see them as undeniable truths. So you see these regurgitated slogans, you see it as 2 + 2 = 4. And if someone comes at you and asks a question or even tries to get even detail and specifics about that slogan you're uttering, you get immediately reactive and defensive, and as though a person is questioning that 2 + 2 = 4, they appear to you like somebody yelling that 2 + 2 = 5. So to you, there is no argument, so that's why you get reactive. You're so in the paradigm of that slogan that you don't even see there could be an entire other lens, or there could be people that just want clarification, and you see them as absolutely dumb and absolutely crazy, right? The best example to kind of show this that gets us out of our kind of modern day elements is the movie Idiocracy. The movie Idiocracy centers on a dumbed-down civilization in the year 2500. And the hero of this story is somebody from 2005, played by Luke Wilson. He is put into a kind of sleep for hundreds of years, and then he enters this future world. And so even though he was of average intelligence in 2005, in this new world in the future, he is extremely intelligent comparatively. Because in this society, everyone has been dumbed down, and what that means in this case is they're all masturbating in short-term gratification, they're all talking in slogans, they are drinking Gatorade as water, and they're basically kind of in this hedonistic comfort coma where they're just living for pleasure and short-term gratification, and they're escaping with video games and all processed foods and porn, and there's just that kind of level of not having brains. Anyway, so what I'm getting to is Luke Wilson is seen as smart. He suggests that they water the crops which aren't growing with water. And see, the frame of reference that this civilization has for water is that it's just the stuff in the toilet. Because they no longer drink water. As I said, the water fountains have Gatorade substance, which in this world is called Brando, but it's basically the equivalent of green Gatorade. And so when he says, why don't you water the crops with water, they might grow back, they might start growing, and you don't have to just live under processed foods. They laugh at him and say, water like from the toilet, and then they think that's ridiculous. And then the second thing that they say, that they repeat as a slogan, is Brando's got what plants crave. And Brando is the green Gatorade. And so when he tries to talk to them and say, well, actually, water makes plants grow, and they just keep repeating this regurgitated slogan that was spoon-fed to them, and that they just see as 2 + 2 = 4. They're like, well, Brando's got what plants crave. And they don't see that actually that's like an advertising slogan that has just been kind of gradually accepted as truth. But in fact, Luke Wilson, who has the context of just a few years ago, when or hundreds of years ago, when plants need water. But they don't even have that frame of reference for water. Water's just something in the toilet. So see, this is an example, of course, not just mind control, but also the fact that people who are below average in intelligence do not see themselves as below average. When somebody comes at them, like with Luke Wilson comes at them, notice they think he is moronic, he is dumb, and he is crazy. They are reacting with not only resistance to the fact that their regurgitations are, not 2 + 2 = 4, but they're also reacting with the denial that they and their reality could be wrong. So it's kind of a symptomatic movie of mind control throughout generations, and just kind of the dumbing down in general. And so let's move on to the third reason that you know if someone is under mind control. The third one is that if you respond to their regurgitation, their regurgitated slogan, with affirmation, with like another slogan or an acceptable kind of script, then you are seen as safe and a friend, and it's like you said the password, and now you have access. And what it is they see that if you're speaking in the same script, then you are an ally, you're on their team, and you're safe. And that's good, but what's interesting is what we're going to go into. Okay, that's one element. But number 4 as the signs you're under mind control is that they don't somebody that's kind of under heavy mind control won't see that you could just be acquiescing or agreeing with their opinion, because know they're under mind control, and they won't be able to accept if you did ask a question, if you did raise an observation, if you did just have any level of nuance that was beyond the kind of slogan, script, and kind of 2 + 2 = 4. So they actually, this is kind of an abstract thing to explain, but see, they don't have the concept that you could just be pandering, you could be phony. They might subconsciously sense a bit of deceit, but they wouldn't comprehend why you do that, because to them, again, they're living in the world where they think that slogan is 2 + 2 = 4. So of course you'd say 2 + 2 = 4. If your tone of voice sounds off in saying it, they're going to attribute that to something else, but not the fact. They're just going to think you might have a distracted state of mind for some other reason. So they're under heavy mind control if they can't even look at themselves as somebody that people kind of walk on eggshells around, or people pander, or people kind of go along to get along. They don't have enough awareness to step back and even see that. And so that is kind of an interesting, kind of complex way of saying, they really are so heavily under mind control that they cannot view themselves objectively. And so, all right, we've gone over most of the reasons. The last reason is, number 5, is someone is under mind control if they prefer comfort coma to truth and to curiosity. And another way of saying this is they prefer to kind of stay in a childlike dependent state of mind rather than progressing to that adult, independent, autonomy, and kind of that level of having to take discomfort because it's time for you to rise above tyranny, so to speak. Now, here's the thing about this child coma, or not child coma, is comfort coma, is I am not here pointing fingers and giving this kind of accountability like you've got to get out of the comfort coma, because what I'm actually seeing is we have been led into a comfort coma by several aspects of this kind of dumbing down and this self-medicating, pick your poison kind of culture. And also I'd say millennials especially have more of that comfort coma kind of state of mind, because they've actually kind of been stuck in dependence longer they've been stuck in dependence because, for one, they have had a lot of the job and financial instability, not only with the Great Recession, but also they are often unemployed or underemployed, and they just haven't quite gotten to the level of being ahead. They often are still paying off student loans, so they're kind of enslaved in instability right now. And so they all, and not only are they that way job-wise, they are also that way in relationships. This generation has had fed to them this kind of idea that pleasure and using people is primacy, is the most fun you can have. And they drank that Kool-Aid. I mean, we drank that Kool-Aid because that was so pervasive. It was seen like commitment and marriage and emotional commitment, and all of those words were seen with disdain, contempt, and kind of like they were dumb. So we don't have often if you don't have a job stability, you at least have emotional stability with a partner and with a relationship that can really kind of give you a sense of empowerment, because love is the most fueling, empowering thing we can have to really get us out of other forms of instability. But see, millennials have both job and love instability on the whole. And so there's a lot of seeking the comfort coma in reaction to instability. So that's why millennials are kind of even more medicated with alcohol, pot. The signs of, the deaths among millennials dying from alcohol and drugs is higher than other generations. And so it shows there's a level of dependence that has increased. And also, all of those things, all of those poison, pick your poison culture, really keeps millennials in that coma of, again, that child brain, that I need somebody else to tell me what to do. I don't have permission because I haven't had permission to even get what I want. I may have wanted love, I may have wanted meaningful work, I haven't been able to get them. And so there's kind of a resignation and apathy, and then a turn to the comfort coma. And it's also because millennials had a very nurturing childhood. I mean, I'm just speaking generally. As a collective generation, they had that kind of comfort bubble in childhood, and then they haven't had a chance to really grow up and have that sovereignty and get ahead. And so, generally speaking, I'm not having a blame, because I realize there's so many factors that are contributing to our desire for the comfort, and there's things contributing that are to the mind control and to our receptiveness to mind control. Just like with Idiocracy, it was clear that people were an exaggerated form of what our society is today. It was satirizing the kind of hedonistic, pleasure-based, and advertising consumer culture, right? And so you've just got to be aware of how culture's against you. So it's up to you to become self-aware and curious, and realize while it's natural for humans to seek comfort over truth, over curiosity, because we seek safety, our subconscious mind is always seeking safety and survival, and what can we do to stay safe. And what really activates us into that, especially that kind of need for safety, is when we're in a state of fear. And a lot of substances keep us in a state of fear. And not just substances, but prevailing parts of culture. What are those? The media always keeps us in fear, chaos. They never offer solutions, value, hope. No. Only if they're going to take it away again do they might hold out a breadcrumb, right? So media, that perpetuates the cycle of keeping you in that fear state. What else? Alcohol keeps you in that, because when you have alcohol, again, You're cut off from your emotions. You're in a limbic state. You're actually in fight or flight when you drink alcohol. You're numbed. So you're, again, more susceptible to mind control. A media brain and alcohol brain, they're susceptible to mind control. What else? Pot, obviously, it's kind of, again, it gives you a sense of acceptance. So alcohol is kind of on the scale of consciousness where it gives you courage. That's why we call it liquid courage. Pot's on the side of giving you acceptance. Both of those might be getting you out of some of the low consciousnesses of feeling really disempowered and needing courage and needing acceptance. But they're still, those are all beneath really what is ultimately, again, a rational brain out of mind control, and love, and even neutrality is above those. So you're susceptible to mind control whenever you're in an altered state, and that means alcohol, that means coffee, that means pot, that means media trance at a screen, that means gambling trance, and that means even you're even in an altered state when you're sexually aroused. That's why, in sexual abuse, mind control is used because it's actually it's manipulating those states of pleasure, and so that's why anytime you're in an altered state, you can be under mind control. And we got to get into why coffee is mind control. Coffee, you have coffee to kind of, you have a perceived idea that it gives you a level of energy and productivity. And what it actually does is your body, when you drink coffee, your body sees this as a poison that's entering you, and it sees it as, we're going to go into fight or flight and adrenaline, and we're going to get that out fast. So that's why you often urinate coffee out quickly. Why? Because your body sees it as a poison to get out. When you pour coffee in a plant, watch what happens. It dies. You can pour coffee on bugs to kill them. It's a pesticide. So coffee, what it does to your system is your perceived uptick in energy is actually your body going into fight or flight and adrenaline. So you might feel more productive, but that only lasts for 20 minutes because then you're actually depleted. Your body grabs its water stores from your joints and other places in order to kind of undo the damage that it's dehydrating and draining, and really it's causing a lot of havoc on your nervous system and your joints. So that's why too, you may have noticed that you've been drinking coffee and working out and you never get more flexible. I certainly noticed that, but I was even worse. I had energy drinks. Well, I was never getting better because my joints were continually depleted and losing a lot of water, and in time that leads to a lot of problems with getting knee and hip surgeries and replacements. So anyway, so all of these, so what I'm saying within this comfort coma reason is you've got to realize it's in your human nature and it's in the human culture to seek comfort. And sometimes when we're not having any of these substances in our life, we actually feel kind of strange, like we're almost jittery, if we don't have coffee, alcohol, pot, any of these things, because we actually are so used to being in fight or flight that we don't feel safe. We only feel safe if we're in that chaos because we're just so used to having that level of chemical balance. So you have to give yourself really 8 weeks to start to feel like you again when you get off all of these substances. And they sneak in other ways because, of course, chocolate is another, chocolate has caffeine. There's little ways it can sneak in. But it's just nice to be aware of how getting out of that comfort coma and getting more seeking curiosity and truth will ensure you're not under mind control. And also all of those substances keep you in a more receptive state to mind control. So free yourself today, and I hope these things were helpful for you to think about yourself, because it's not just about you looking at other people and how they're mind controlled. It's about realizing we are all, as humans, susceptible to so many levels of mind control, and it's coming at us on many levels. It's coming at us from things we consume from food, substances, to media, and it's also coming at us from our own ego that's unwilling to see ourselves as someone that can be duped or emotionally controlled or manipulated. And of course, remember that idiocracy example. Sometimes things that we take as a given truth, as an objective reality, as a 2 + 2 = 4, is sometimes a 2 + 2 = 5, and we have to confront that we could be wrong, and we've got to come at it with, I don't know, I'm curious, and I could be under mind control, and I'm going to try to be aware above all. I hope this was helpful. Thanks.